Hello, my name is Mr. Pileggi. I'll be your TechMath 2 instructor for MATC, Molecular Technical College. I'll do the lectures here on the whiteboard, and we're lecturing out of the TechMath 2, the Red Book, for most of this semester. We're going to switch to the Blue Book for just Chapter 15. I think that's inserted after Chapter 10. So we're going to do Chapter 1 and 2. In TechMath 1, if you had me for that, you know we already covered 3, 4, and 5. And then, so here, we're going to do Chapters 1 and 2. We're going to skip to Chapter 6, and that'll be its own test. And then 7, 8, that'll be its own test. 9, 10, that'll be its own test. Then the midterm, then Chapter 15 will sneak in there from the Blue Book. And then we go back and finish the rest of them, 11, 12, and 13, 14. So, and then the final. And so there isn't a full all-on cumulative final for the whole course. It's only for the midterm is chapters 1 and 2, and then 6 through 10. And then the second part of the midterm, the final, is the rest of the material that we covered. And I'm, of course, going to do reviews, extensive reviews for the test. They count for your grade the most. So we'll get into it here. We're going to do Chapter 1, 1 to 1, 4. Hopefully it's review for most everybody. Remember, you also need a graphing calculator. We're going to use that in TechMath 2. We're going to do some kind of cool stuff with vectors in the semester. It's really pretty cool. This, if you had me for 115, you already have the whole story behind that. Me and my son built life-size props, basically prop replicas from the movie Star Wars. And we did R2-D2 and C-3PO and BB-8. And a couple of times a year I take them to Children's Hospital for visits. So since the pandemic here, I can't believe this actually went on. Since the pandemic, I just put him in the back room here in my basement. This is my little studio, and he's my TA. He holds the eraser and the markers, and we can position his head differently and stuff like that. So if you look at the syllabus, there's a picture of R2-D2 and C-3PO and BB-8 on the second, third page of the syllabus. So we took it to Community Day. That was fun. So we'll get into TechMath 2. So we're looking at, in the Red Book, Chapter 1. That is starting on page... Let's see here, page 2, actually. So trig functions are the first thing. Okay, and standard position. So when we talk about standard position of an angle, so 1.1, standard position of an angle is first you draw, remember, a coordinate plane system where this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Standard position always goes, it's the angle that the vertex is on the origin of the angle. The vertex is the pointy part of an angle. And the positive x-axis is always one of the pieces of the angle, one of the sides of the angle. So if you look at 3, it goes to 230 degrees. So remember, this is 90 right here, 180 right there. So 230 is between the 180 mark and the 270 mark. So this is 230 degrees. And now let's see, it says the angle was generated by the rotation in a, well, that would be, I know everybody goes digital now. So, remember a clock face? So if there's a clock face and it's a circle clock like this, with the numbers on it and everything, the clock hands go this way. That's called clockwise. And then if you go the opposite of that, it's called counterclockwise. Only recently did I have to explain clockwise and counterclockwise, because a lot of you probably haven't experienced circular clocks anymore. Everybody kind of has a digital clock, and so. All right, the terminal side lies in what quadrant? Okay, so let's talk about, this is an angle in standard position. Standard position angle always starts here at the positive x-axis and goes counterclockwise and stops somewhere. This is the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. And so this one landed in the third quadrant. All right. So just a little terminology there. Let's jump to number 7. Oh, that was number 3. Sorry, that was number 3. In the red book, that was on page 2, number 3. Now we're on page 3, and we're looking at number 7. So we are not going to go through every problem, but basically in the red book, that's where you're getting your notes from. And then in the packet, that's where you actually do the homework. So I'll explain how to do the homework here, and you actually do the homework from those packets, all right? So an angle with its terminal side in the first quadrant is called a first quadrant angle. Similarly, angles with terminal sides in the second, third, and fourth quadrant are called second quadrant angles, third quadrant angles, and fourth quadrant angles. Which of the following are second quadrant angles? So they only want second quadrant angles. So let's think about it algebraically. 117 degrees, 177 degrees, 241 degrees, 99 degrees, and letter E is 88 degrees. Okay, so all of them are in degrees. Basically, if you wanted to do this algebraically, that would be the quickest way to do it. You would say, okay, if it's between 90 degrees, which happens here, and 180 degrees, which happens there, it's in the second quadrant. So you just go not between 90 and 180. Yes, between 90 and 180. So that B is one of the correct answers. Not between 90 and 180. Yep, between 90 and 180. So D is one of your answers, and not. So basically, this one would end up in the third quadrant. It would be 317 degrees, somewhere in there. 177 would just be shy of this 180 degrees by 3 degrees. 241 would take us around, but not get us to 270. So that would end up in 3. 99 is just over the 90 degrees. So that's right there in the second quadrant. And 88 would be a first quadrant angle. It wouldn't make it out of the first quadrant. And so hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Let's look at reference angles, number 8. So this is 1.2. We're still on page 3. So number 8, it says, how large is alpha for a reference angle? Okay, so look, they have this graphed 120 degrees in standard position. So that's my angle. It's actually like that, but you usually don't mark the bottom one, just where it ends. So that's 120 degrees, and they're calling that, what are they calling that? Theta, and alpha is 60 degrees. And so they're saying, okay, how large is alpha, the reference angle? Oh, well, it's marked. We didn't even have to work anything out. It's 60 degrees. And the sum of theta and alpha, so 120 plus 60 is 180 degrees. I expected them to make us find that. This is called the reference angle. So 120 degrees off of the first, off of the positive x-axis is the same as 60 degrees in the second quadrant. That 60 degrees is called its reference angle. So it's a reference angle is whatever angle it makes with just the x-axis, not necessarily the positive x-axis, positive or negative x-axis is its reference angle. And so here we'll look at, they'll have us find, what are we doing here? First quadrant angles. Okay, yeah, we're going to find more reference angles as we go. So let's skip to number 19 on page 6 in the red book. So alpha is 21 degrees, and what do they want for, or I'm sorry, theta is 21 degrees, and alpha is 7 degrees, or theta is 7 degrees, what's alpha? All right, my Greek letters. I'm a little rusty on my Greek letters. Okay, so it says, the terminal side of theta at the right is in the first quadrant. For any first quadrant angle, theta is the same as the angle. That is, yeah, alpha is equal to theta. When theta is 60 degrees, alpha is 60 degrees. Oh, so that's a super easy one. So look, if it's 21 degrees in the first quadrant, well then its reference angle is itself. Anything that's in the first quadrant is its own reference angle. So if it's 7 degrees, its reference angle is itself. It's already in the first quadrant. And so any first quadrant angle is its own reference angle. All right, so now let's look at 21. This one is going to be a little more challenging. So they want reference angles, and then they want us to say where does it end up also. A, B, C, D. So 7 degrees and 183 degrees. Okay. So they want to know what is the reference angle and what quadrant is it in. So 100 degrees, if we think about this, let's draw a picture for each one. It's easier to visualize it, I think, at first like this. So 100 degrees, that goes just past 90 degrees. So that is 100 degrees. So the question at hand is, what is this angle? Right there. Uh-oh, my blue one is dead. Well, shoot. I'll just do it black. What is that angle right there? So if this is 100 degrees and this whole thing is 180, we would just go 180 degrees minus 100 degrees. That would be 80 degrees. 80 degrees left. So it's 80 degrees in Q2. So it's in the second quadrant. That is called its reference angle. So if I said, what's the reference angle for 100 degrees? You would tell me 80 degrees. And it's in the second quadrant. All right? 282. Well, let's take a look at that picture. What does 282 degrees look like? Well, here goes. We always start from the positive x and go counterclockwise. So there's 90. There's 180. There's 270. We're supposed to go all the way to 282. We got to go a little past 270. And now, don't make this mistake. People go, oh, it's 12 because that's y. Yeah. You're always going back to x. So this is the reference angle right here. So if you say 360 minus 282, that's what's going to be left right there, because one full revolution is 360 degrees. So what are we going to borrow? 8, 78 degrees. Adds it up to 360, right? Okay. 77 degrees is in the first quadrant. Remember, it's still written on the board here. Any first quadrant angle. Oh wait, we're supposed to say that's Q4 also. Any first quadrant angle is its own reference angle. And 193 degrees. Let's take a look at that one. 180 and then a little more. So that's 193 degrees. So in this case, we're going to take 193 minus 180, and that'll give us this little piece right here, which is our reference angle. So that is, 13 degrees? And that's in Q2. All right. Or not Q2. What is that in? Oh, geez. Q3. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant. So let me double check. That's its own. So that's first quadrant, that's fourth quadrant, and that's the second quadrant. Okay. So there we are. That's how we get the answers for 21. Let me see how much time we have on this. All right. So this is only going to go to 1.2. The next video I'll do is 1.3 and 1.4.